Okay, good afternoon. This is Aeolus, as you can see here. This is a guide to help out with scanning. I've got a lot of friends down in 00 who want to try exploration, but they just don't quite know how to scan the sites down. So let's start with the basics, skills that you need. The skills that you need in order to scan do take a few weeks to get up to a adequate level. The important ones are archaeology, astrometric acquisition, astrometric pinpointing, astrometric range finding, astrometrics, hacking, and that is it. Hacking allows you to use code breakers. These are needed for one of these sites. Archaeology is needed for analyzers, also needed for one of the sites. Astrometric acquisition, pinpointing, and range finding help out to actually narrow it down so you can warp to it. Other skills that you need are the skills in order to fly with proper fittings a covert ops scanning ship. As you can see when clicking on the description of the ship, it provides the proper bonuses that you need. For instance, being able to cloak while you're doing it and the scan strength. Also, it allows the flight time to go up so you're not constantly having to recall and relaunch your probes. The fitting for the ship doesn't matter so much when all you're trying to do is locate a site that you can go and shoot at stuff with. The important things are a cloak, your rigs, and the launcher. The rigs, you want small gravity capacitor upgrade 1s or 2s if you're that, if you got the money. You want a cloaking device, and you want your sister expanded or sister normal probe launcher with sister core scanner probes. This will allow you to get your maximum benefit and therefore be able to scan down things such as 1010s, which is why we're all here. Other things on the fitting doesn't really matter. I have analyzers here because I was recently doing a site. Same thing with the expanded cargo. Some of the stuff was heavy. And I have a micro warp drive for getting out of sticky situations. Now, the next important thing is once you're actually getting to it. When you're ready to launch your probes, you want to make sure that your speed is at 0.0 meters per second. That way, when you launch the probes, they're not distributed off of each other, because at the beginning you want them to all be in the same place. So now you want to launch your probes. You have them down here. You want 5 of them. 5 is needed for this method of scanning. In my opinion, it is the best method. I've tried many. I've tried the 2, 4, and 7, but 5 works best. Start off by launching your probes. Doesn't matter where you are in system, just pick a spot and launch them. We'll move them in a moment. Make sure all 5 are launched. And then because your probes are very close to you, you'll notice that when trying to cloak, sometimes it doesn't let you. In this case it did because they did launch 2002. But anyway, I'm going to warp off. That's what I always do. I warp within 100 of a random planet while I'm cloaked. And while I'm doing that, to avoid wasting time, I open up my map. Actually, just in case you didn't see that little thing right here, it's a radar type of icon. Click it. It'll bring this up. Click on map. A lot of you will see this map. This is what you are used to seeing. What you do is you click on solar system map. Then you hit minimize so you can get rid of the world map control panel. Don't close it, otherwise you'll close this out. First step is to make sure all of your probes are the same size, 32 AU. Also make sure you're cloaked. What you want to do in order to do all of them at the same time is click on one, hold shift, click on the last one. Then when you right click, go to scan range, pick 32 AU. That will cover most of the system. The way that you want to do it in the beginning is you want to space out your probes in a cross pattern from the top. In other words, this is from the side, this is from the top. You take them and you put them at the same distance from your center probe. In this case, as you can see, I'm using this outer ring of the bubble and placing it on the outer side of the box. Do the same thing on all 4 sides. No matter what size you're at, you always want them to look like this. This is what your pattern is constantly going to look like. It may vary. They may be a little bit closer together this way or maybe a little bit further, depending. Anyway, so now that you have this, you're covering the entire system on the ring. Don't worry about up and down like this. 32 AU probes will cover plenty. Sometimes you will get a Plex that will be about this high off of the system, but this is fine. You hit scan, and basically while we're scanning, there's a couple different types of Plexes you can run into. There's a radar, a magnetometric, a LiDAR, a gravimetric, and an unknown site. Now from the beginning, a radar site will be a hacking site. You need a code breaker in order to do it, and a decent code breaking skill. I went with 4. It allows me to open any can I need to. Those sites contain things such as decryptors and other tools that involve invention and something along those lines that I don't do, but they are valuable. So if that's all you have, do it. It'll make you 20 to 50 million, and it's real quick. Those sites you generally want to bring one combat ship, one ship to do the code breaking itself. A magnetometric site is pretty much the exact same thing, just you need analyzers instead of code breakers, and sometimes you also need a salvager. Usually when warping into the site, it'll tell you what you need. So if you just click warp and then stop your warp, there should be a symbol there that'll either be an analyzer or a salvager, and that will be the main tool you're going to use to crack that site. Next up is a LiDAR. That is either a gas mining site. It's just a gas cloud out in the middle of space. You go get your gas. You can use that to make boosters, which are drugs, and you can also use it to make other things, I believe, but again, that's not a field that I'm that experienced in. Next up, so we've covered radar, magnetometric, and LiDAR. Next up, you have gravimetric. That's mining. Do it if you want, not my thing. Those are also valuable. You can sell them to miners. Normally if you're in a 0.0 alliance, they don't like you to sell it to miners, but generally just give it to those friends. Next up, the most important one, are unknown sites. You'll see here, actually, it covers a Serpentis Haven as an unknown site, even though this is a cosmic anomaly. So these will always show up as a 100% signature. As you can see here, these are always going to be 100%. They're anomalies. You can immediately warp to them if you wish. That's how people do sanctums and havens and hubs and all those other things. The one that we're looking for today is this. It is also going to most likely be an unknown. An unknown site is either a wormhole or a Plex that you need to have a tank and DPS to do. If you run into a wormhole, you don't get discouraged. Eventually you'll find something that you can go and fight in. Just ignore the wormhole, bookmark it, so in case you want to check it out later. Unknown sites that are not wormholes are valuable. Always do them. It doesn't matter if it's a fortress. That's the crappiest one. That one can escalate. Earlier today I got a Snake Alpha off of that. The better ones are the provincial HQs and the 1010s that you run into. For those of you that don't know, a 1010, that you'll hear a lot of more experienced players use that phrase. It is in reference to a DED rating. Basically, Concord rates these sites between 1 and 10 based on their difficulty. A 1010 is the hardest and therefore the most valuable. You get X type of loot. You get X type loot off of those, and just it's a good time, fun stuff. Always bring friends though, because you'll die if you try to do it alone, unless some people in Innistrad. But so what you do is when you scan the site, you scan the system rather, you will see everything in system that you can possibly scan down. These two anomalies are irrelevant. We're not doing those. What we're after is this. Cosmic signature, no group yet, blank type, and it has a signature below 100, meaning that you can scan it down. You right click on it, hit ignore other results, and it will narrow it down to that particular one. Now we look at our bubbles. It's not in the center this time. Usually it will be in the center, but since this time it's on the left over here, we are going to hold shift, click on one of the side arrows, and drag everything at once to that bubble, so that your center bubble here, your center probe, is in the center of that red circle on all sides. So now that it's in the center, we can start scanning. What you do, as I mentioned earlier, always keep them in this formation. So we're going to move all of these outside 4 closer to the center, therefore more accurately pinpointing it and raising the signal strength closer to 100%. So let's start by moving this right one. I'm going to move it so that the back side of this arrow here is actually just over this box, and I'll do it on all 4 sides. So just barely on there, just barely on here, and just barely on this side as well. Then we hit scan again. Again, you don't have to do it the way I just did it as far as having the back side of the arrow touching the box. You just want a point where you know that all of your probes have moved in the closest amount that they can, and that's usually the one that I do. If you zoom in a little bit, you can make the points touch. It doesn't matter. It's just something to go by to help you out. Now, what you see me doing here is I'm moving it towards this small red beacon in the middle. It's a cosmic signature. Basically, that's just telling you it's more towards that region. These overlapping areas here, it pointed out that it was more likely in this region when I had it up there. So what you want to do is move it so that your center probe is as much over that as possible. Also look at the side. Move it down so it's in the center on there as well. Move it back to the top. Center it one last time. And then we should be good to move down to our next size of scanning. Now, because I'm using 5 probes and because my scanning skills are 4, it allows you to greatly increase the speed at which you scan